Hello and welcome to A Podcast Has a Name. On vocals this week is Alec Immerman.
And we've got Saul Immerman here too.
Yeah, that's me. So
we are talking about
what's this episode called?
Beyond the Wall.
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
Beyond the Wall. That kind of reminds me of Super Mario 64, Beyond the Wild Blue.
Oh yeah.
It's Shoot into the Wild Blue. I think that's a much more evocative title for a level than Beyond the Wall is for, I don't know, a TV episode.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the opinion that at least shit happened. I can take this. I can't take last week where nothing happens but nonsense.
I said this is better than last week. And
Book
usually
it. Alex said it.
Yeah, and usually when people ask me how it is, I always say it's good if they haven't seen it because I don't want to ruin it for them unless it's really bad. Last week I said it was all right.
Well, that's good. You are of a pure soul.
Hey,
I am so curmudgeonly that I would just like angrily be like, "It sucks. What do you expect?"
And then once I know they watched it, we talk about the logistic problems. Well, we can talk about a few good things.
I mean, okay. Are we going to start with talking shit, or are we going to talk about good things?
We can mix in the good things every once in a while.
All right, so we're starting with talking shit.
Let's start with good things.
Okay, good things. All right.
I thought the music was ambient and very good.
Very high bar. And music was ambient. I thought the music made noise. It was audible.
As always. It was a beautiful scenery. Clearly, you can talk more about that.
I liked the shot making in this episode. I thought there were some really pretty sweeping shots. I liked all of the bro Expendables scenes, like throughout littering the first half of the episode. I really enjoyed. We got, the mountain. The Hound and Tormund, which I think was my favorite. Yeah. And because why don't they hook up? Why doesn't sex happen anymore?
Tormund scares Gendry that he's gonna rape him or something. Like Gendry looks scared when he says stuff happens.
They're gonna have sex. They're gonna have consensual love. Yeah, exactly.
Gendry, the only one with a hood, who'd never seen snow before.
Why aren't they riding horses?
Yeah, that's true. I never even thought of that.
It makes no sense. It's like, what?
Some of the terrain would not be traversable by a horse.
Yeah, but they never really show them like climbing mountains or anything, and rangers always go out with horses.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't really, like, in the first scene of the entire show, they show that rangers use horses.
Yeah. And maybe they knew they wouldn't need an escape plan.
They should have just said, we're going through the mountains where it'll be too rocky. Like, they could have explained it away, but they never mentioned it. And it's hilarious. It's like, you go, you're faster. And I like to think that because it was it Tormund or Thoros? I think it was Tormund saying, you gotta leave the hammer. I like to think that entire time that Tormund's just like, I'm gonna get that fucking hammer.
Yeah. Yeah. And the hey, you're faster was like such a nice like little bro trick.
You're the best.
Yeah, you're so fast. Really? Okay. And he just runs off.
You're the least important.
They're like, no. Well, hey, remember last week we talked about... Actually, we usually don't talk about the preview for the next week. I didn't watch the preview for the final episode.
Oh, yeah, I didn't watch it.
But there was the hammer. It showed the Hound or Tormund had the hammer in one scene.
Yeah.
And then it was like, did they spoil Gendry's dying in the trailer?
That's funny. It's kind of a reverse spoiler.
Yeah, so when he gave it away...
A red herring.
Yeah, so when he gave it away, then we're like, oh, okay,
see,
that doesn't mean...
We should have got to see Tormund using it because, I'm glad. I liked seeing the Hound wreck shit with the hammer. That was cool. I liked Dany and Jon, having some good moments at the end. Why don't they just fuck? Like, this would be a good time to have some slow fucking in Game of Thrones.
Well, I think that's where they're going.
His body's broken.
I think that's where they're going.
She's sad. There's
they
a lot
had
of emotion.
that hand squeeze.
It was a sexually...
Bran was watching.
Oh my god. Bran is just like... He takes notes on his sibling sexual exploits, and he's like, I have been compiling some information and statistics on your use of sexual positions. Did you know that you spend 71% on reverse direwolf? Gotta fix that, bro.
Well, he will say that.
Nobody fucking... He will have said that, and he will be saying that for all time. Time is a flat circle, and Brain sees
that's
it
true.
all.
He could warg into Dolores Ed at the wall and say it.
He's gonna warg into Ned Stark back with, like, when he's hanging out with Lyanna, and he's gonna say some shit like, "Can't sleep on Bran." You can, because he's not in the show. What does he think about his sisters fighting?
We don't know. Yeah, he's too powerful now, so that having him in the show makes the plot pointless. So they have to have him not in the show. It's kind of like Ghost. He's too expensive, so having him in the show makes it so you can't have him in the show.
It reminds me of Vision from the Marvel movies, who just kind of like appears in Avengers 2, and it's like, okay, what are your powers? It's like, we'll get to that later. It's like, okay, so he's omnipotent, but why doesn't he solve everything?
I remember watching that movie. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
And you never know. He shows up in later
ones. He has every power, literally.
Yeah, it's
that's because he has the soul gem, or one of those
very important jewels.
Yeah, those rocks that the Guardians are looking for.
Yeah. Yes.
Chaos gems.
Same issue there. So during the first Sansa Arya scene, which I thought was really dumb. I hated everything to do with Sansa and Arya, but I really liked that there was blocking in this scene. Like, the sisters interact with the space, and they take up different parts of the frame, and they interact with each other, and like one is further away than the other. I mean, that was one scene where it did not just kind of fall into shot reverse shot. And even the shot reverse shot in this episode, I think, was not like really necessarily bad. And sometimes it gets really obvious, like, oh man, they're just shooting this, like they're shooting this as quick as possible. But you could tell, like, even it's a shame that all the energy was wasted, in this film language that is absent from a lot of the show, that we get to see it in this scene that's really dumb and just undermines so much about the Stark family.
I did notice that Arya had some interesting body language, always walking around with her hands behind her back like a little psycho.
I like that she's smug. I hate that she's a psycho, because she's just so dumb. Like, that can be part of Arya, and you still love her because, like, her heart's in the right place. But it's like, what happened to that girl whose heart is in the right place?
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say about the Arya and Sansa. So I think it's nonsense, obviously. And I think that they have...
Alex said it too. That means it's gotta be right. Yeah. It's 2 out of 2.
And I think that they have end plot points where they want to get the characters, and then they're just kind of winding the plot through there just to get there. That's why it's so clunky. They've been doing it since they ran out of material from the books. But if Arya is ready, remember I had all those conspiracy theories about how it was not Arya who was walking around in Bravos when she was getting stabbed, and she was faking it and all this shit. And then it was just like, no, that was just bad writing. Arya says that she is playing the game of faces, where you try to lie. And then she goes on to tell Sansa many lies. She says that she saw Sansa smiling and serving the Lannisters, and that she would die before she served the Lannisters, when in reality, Sansa was like screaming. Arya would have seen her doing that. And Arya, in reality, did serve Tywin literally as a cupbearer to him.
She would never.
Yeah, she would never. So if the writers have forgotten about that and they're that fucking stupid, I could see them being that dumb too. Oh, okay. And then she lies about saying that she always, when she was younger, wanted to be Sansa.
I mean, I think there's definitely some subterfuge going on here, because why else would the episode, or would their arc in this episode, arc quote unquote, end with Arya flipping the dagger to Sansa? It's definitely a, what do you think about this kind of, and it's just like, I don't know what I think about this because it's stupid.
The doors always seem to be open when they're doing this, so it's like almost so that they have Littlefinger hear it. They send away Brienne. I don't know why they send away Brienne. Do you have any idea on that one?
Well, this is supposed to be to, like, the important council meeting.
Yeah.
And I guess Sansa needs someone to, like, represent her. It's like...
But why not somebody who, like, doesn't matter?
How are they communicating with the South so well, and Jon can't fucking communicate with them, or, like, drop by, because, like, it's not like traveling is hard, like, why can't there be any communication? And it's like, it just... kind of shows that not showing any conversations between Arya and Sansa or Jon and Sansa, just kind of having those all happen off screen, it means we don't know what they talked about. We don't know.
And the fact that these are the conversations they do show us is really misleading. So the other thing I was going to say is that she claims to Sansa that she always wanted to be her. She wanted to wear nice dresses and be like her, which is a complete lie. She never did.
No, I don't think. Did she say that she wanted to? I thought she said she could.
I think she said she wanted to,
like
and
to
then
wear all the pretty
dresses. But I mean, my point was that she's lying, and this is some sort of 3-dimensional. I mean, it's a 2-dimensional chess because
it's 1-dimensional chess. Yeah, but they're feuding for reasons, though. It's clear.
Yeah, and Bran could settle this easily, but he's busy. I mean, Bran is the guy who literally, in the beginning of the whole series, he's paralyzed. He's asleep, so he can't testify that he saw Cersei and Jaime. Then when he wakes up, he has like terrible memory loss, which may or may not have been from manipulation by Three-Eyed Raven.
I think that's fucked up because in the books, that's like canon. Like he did like make Bran forget about Cersei and Jaime because it's like, no, you need to get away with this. Maybe like Bran would have died if he spent his entire time like asleep worrying about that. But like on the other hand, it's like maybe it's just dooming. He just didn't really care about the effect it had immediately because the long-term effect is we need Bran fucking alive. So.
And he's the guy who literally needs the most help to get around and walk around and is the slowest fucking guy and seems to do the least. Like what would they be doing this whole time? Think about like while John's at the wall doing all this shit, like Bran is just kind of like backpacking, with like on somebody's back at first. And then when he gets too big in a little sledge. Or sled.
Sledge.
Well, they said sledge in the show.
Oh,
I thought they did. I thought they said sledge at some point.
I think it's just meant to foreshadow Bran becoming Santa Claus. I think is his ultimate show.
She could. I've seen so many stupid Bran is the Night King conspiracies that I'm not on board with. That's so dumb. Yeah, I could see him being like Bran the Builder and going back in time and like
that you could see, but Bran being the Night King is a bridge too far. Bran is a Time Lord, not a bad guy. Get it right.
Yeah. So I guess that's the end of my Bran rant. But I feel like they have not had any reunion shit. Like they can talk about shit without it can be lighthearted. It doesn't have to be about plot point.
But should, like, you could just show that they can still enjoy each other and, like, be happy and like, energized by being together.
Or what if they talked about something crazy that we saw that happened?
Yeah, it's like, the fact that they have so much that they don't know about each other shows a lot of really interesting, like, decisions that characters would have to make in telling each other about that. Like, what Arya omits. It would be very telling about her psychological state. Right. And what Sansa omits would be very telling. Like, they've both dealt with some highly fucked up shit, but I think... And
all we get is, you couldn't have survived in my shoes. Well, guess we'll never know.
And I think this betrays such a lack of knowledge about what makes the book so special and the depiction of the Stark family. So, Alec and I I'm the youngest and he's the oldest sibling, and we have 2 middle siblings and we also have step siblings, but like, we have a very close family and we all love each other very much. And when you grow up in a family like that, you relate everything in your worldview to like something your siblings do. Like, oh, that guy's taller than Alec, or, shit like that. And, you see that with the Starks. It's so apparent, George R. R. Martin had siblings and...
No, he didn't. I don't.
Oh, I think he had a brother.
Oh, he did have a brother?
I thought so. I thought I read an interview or something where he talked about like growing up in New Jersey.
Oh, maybe. I remember him always talking in interviews. I just watched one recently where he just talked about being fucking bored. and he's like, we weren't very rich and I didn't have a lot to do, so I would watch the boats in the in the harbor and like they'd actually do that in the show. I'd watch the boats in the harbor and make up stories about where they came from and where they were going. Sounds
like some writer shit.
Yeah. Yep.
But The Starks, when they suffer at their deepest, they always find solace in thinking of one another. And Arya and Sansa have a really interesting relationship away from one another.
Yes. And they think of each other often. Like Arya especially thinks of her family often and thinks of even like begrudgingly, she's like, even if I saw Sansa, I would hug her right now really hard and not even think about all the mean things that happened before.
Well, she thinks of how, like, back when they used to fight, how, like, even when they were mad at each other back then, like, that is just, like, a game compared to everything they're doing now. And, like, they wished to have those childish grudges against each other. Like, they just understand. And, like, they were raised by Ned Stark. They have a sense of family and unity, you know.
We're gonna get that great line about the lone wolf dies and the pack survives.
No, that was just another line about sex positions. I'm pretty sure. I think that's what Ned was teaching. Arya. It's
god.
So it's a fucked up show.
When the snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. The snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives.
Well, it was in the trailer, so it must be in the next episode because it wasn't in any of these episodes. So I think that they will reconcile, and I think that will be like a line that maybe I think Sansa's saying it in the trailer. Now I can't even remember who's saying it. Probably not. I think it is Sansa. I think that they will reconcile, and I think this is some sort of con they're running.
Running for the audience of the show.
Yes, running mainly on the audience of the show. It's not even, we don't even see Baelish, so we don't even know if it's working on him.
And you mentioned before how they're always just trying to string something along until it's important for the plot. I mean, that's what's so egregious, is that's what it all is. Even when we get the cool shit, it's like, okay, now you get a little bit of this to like satiate you for now. Like you get some dragons, so you have to deal with more Winterfell bullshit. Like,
yeah.
And it's just so frustrating when they don't know where to go with any of the arcs, like of either of the Stark sisters or like Brienne of Tarth. Like this is the first time she's spoken as a character and had her own opinions since before season 5, I believe. And I think you could do something really interesting with having her befriend both Starks and helping them reunite in some way.
Yeah.
Like the groundwork is there, but they don't bother to write.
Sending her away seemed really for some purpose that wasn't really. I mean, I know why they said she had to be sent away, but why did it need to be her? Why not just send a Raven?
Think of all the characters that have been put on buses, like from the beginning of the season. We have the Greyjoys. We have Grey Worm. We have Davos was on a bus for this entire episode until the very end for no reason. Like, why couldn't Davos just go with them on the trek? Like,
well, he said he would slow them down because he has part of his hand missing.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah, okay.
But he was there waiting.
When they're fighting, this is another thing. When they're fighting all the white, it's like they're still trying to take the one white that they have tied up. It's like, dude, let it go. Get a different one. No current shortage. Just get a different one.
Yeah.
Like, this is so stupid that the first thing they do is get away. And
we need to talk about. You finish this thought. Like,
I shouldn't. We'll go to the north of the wall stuff because I have a lot of problems with like the technicalities of what is happening. But we could go to that.
Let's talk about whites and how they work. And how they don't work. How they used to work.
It does, yeah, it changes.
So it used to be that you really needed fire, and then that would pretty much stop them from moving. But you could stab them through, run them through, and it would like startle them for a little bit. But then after like a minute, they would like come back to life again. And even like a dismembered limb would still be able to move on its own, like we saw. In
film canon, they started as slow zombies, and then they turned into fast zombies.
Then they were running. Then they were running.
And so the rules have kind of changed because they used to be this, like, existential threat that's coming no matter what, in which, like, on small scale, it's the same thing as the large scale. Like, they are coming no matter what. There's nothing we can fucking do. And so there's only specific ways to defeat them. And that was always how it was in the books. You know, whenever those Jon scenes are real scary in the beginning, like whenever there's anything like when he has that fucking white, like putting its fingers like down his throat when he's saving Mormont, like shit is real, but then like I think around Hardhome was the first appearance of the fast zombies, right?
No, I think Bran first saw the fast zombies
That's right.
outside of the cave.
End of season 4 with the
with
Children of the Fire grenades, the Children of the Forest fire grenades. Yes,
that was like, what the fuck? What? Wait, they're fast ones?
it's like, and yeah, you see, what have we done with the Children of the Forest since then?
Maybe kill them, put them on a bus too.
Yeah, everybody will come back at the very end. It's like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Spoiler clips. Ooh.
We'll bleep that out.
Show's old.
So the rule change on whites, we've acknowledged that. There was that white bear. This is the first time we've seen a bear white.
That's cool. I liked it.
It was pretty awesome looking. It reminded me of Lost somehow.
Of course,
because it's the polar bear. But like once that got lit on fire, I thought it would be easier to kill it. But then they ended up just like knocking it over the head to kill it, like some like kill blow on the back of the head.
It was burning for a while though.
Yeah, that's true. There was like a burning sword through it.
Yeah.
But it like they saw it from far away. They're like, "Is it a bear?" Like I'm like, guys, you should like take this seriously. This is a fucking like polar bear. Even if it wasn't a white, like it probably will want to eat you. And they were just like, blah, blah. And one of them is like running out in front. Yeah, and you couldn't tell who was where. Like all of a sudden you see a guy running. You're like, was he with them? Yeah, and then he gets attacked.
And like the like actual like sense of where people are in space is there's no sense of continuity for that. And that's like just how it is for every battle scene ever in Game of Thrones. It's just like their positions don't relate to each other. They just relate to the drama happening on screen. So like with the bear, you get this weird shit where it's like it's savaging one person, and most of what we're seeing in the shot is just their body being like rubbed up against the frame of the camera. It's like, okay, where's everybody else? And we see that for like another 3 seconds, and then it's like, then they burst through, and then it's like, where were they? Like they were all standing next to each other.
Well, they did show the Hound not doing anything.
Yeah, the fire. Hound had a lot of, and that's another place where editing being poor really hurts, is when you have somebody doing the same thing for a long time, and you just keep cutting back to the same. It's like, oh fuck.
But then Thoros gets savaged. And we think he's a goner. He got torn in the guts. So we think he's a goner. They're acting like he's a goner. And then they do a burning sword on him. They're like, I think I'm going to be okay. And they're like, yes.
Yeah, this doesn't like, I thought this would be a great time for, what's his name? Derek Bonbarian, as he's known, to give him the kiss of flame and for his body to burn up that way. But they needed Jon to be the one to say it. It's like, Beric should know something, like, and I want to keep that line because we were also talking about the rules, and we talked about they turn into fast zombies, but they also changed the rules to like, Diablo necromancer rules, where it's like,
you kill the one, and then
you kill the main necromancer, and then all the rest of them die.
Except for that one that they need.
It's like, not only is it ridiculously convenient to have this separate force, but it's just like, okay, they've already been walking in the Haunted Forest for 5 seasons now, doing nothing. Well, 7 seasons, doing nothing. But now, like, they have little other, like, scout groups that aren't scouting anything, just walking.
Or they're spying, and they're spying, like, it's not like they're wildlings, so you're gonna come across whites. They should just be going in one direction to one place. They shouldn't be in little, like, packs. Yeah. It's not like they're Jawas.
Or there should just be, like, an overwhelming amount of them, and you can just pick them up, because there's so many that, like, on the outskirts, they're like a little looser, but they're all basically being controlled. I don't really understand how that works at all.
It almost reminded me of like Star Wars following like the Sand People or following the Jawas trying to get back their droids. Like, oh, there they are. Oh, look at them.
There was a lot of great hills that like I think bring into that sort of like mind, those like vast expanses. One thing it really like makes me so sad, because I'm so intrigued by like changes in elevation in relation to filmmaking, is you never see them crest or like any high points.
Yeah, that's
it's like
true.
Vastly changing their point of view. Like they can basically see everything over on this side, and then they get over something, and then they see, there's just a lot of opportunity for like really interesting, beautiful things you could do. And they just do the same thing where you get like 1.5 seconds of like dollying across, and you see like them in relation to the land, but it's like it's always misty to save money.
Yeah.
And it's always slightly moving. It's like there's never intent behind those.
And they
decisions.
walk them until they get to the lake. Then they're like, oh, that's where we're going. Right there. Right out to that stone right there in the middle. Good thing we called ahead for a ride. They sent for help. They sent Gendry for help before they knew like they would need to be picked up or whatever. They're just like, there are too many. Like, why don't they all just go back? Like, they did they already have the white at that point?
I think pretty much they got the white, and then they were like in a series of events that tumbled right into like the big fuck up. So
the urgency in the dialogue made it sound like they really couldn't have all gone back. Like really only if one of them went back, then the rest could like continue on and distract them or whatever. So even the director of the episode has come out and said that the timeline for the episode is blurry. He realizes.
Oh my God. Don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Because the second you even open that door, it's just like, okay, what about the timeline of episode 3?
Yeah. But this one was egregious. Like, he ran back. I mean, I've seen all sorts of people trying to do the calculations and make it work online.
The math is abysmal.
Yeah.
There's no...
You can't do it.
And like, wait, he ran back. He didn't even run back to Eastwatch, which I thought they were near. He ran back to Castle Black.
Did he?
Yeah, because Davos was there. Oh, wait, is Davos at Eastwatch?
I assume Davos went with them to Eastwatch.
So, no, he was there.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. All right.
Oh, God, we read Castle Black.
Okay, so it makes a little more sense like that, but it's
he
still...
still would have had to run all the way from where they were back to the wall before nighttime.
And then a letter has to get sent to Daenerys
and Dragonstone. And then Dany has to fly back up with no like face mask or anything. She does have that cool like flyer outfit now.
I love that. I love her winter outfit. She's like, I have fucking found this
I wonder
shit.
what it's made out of though.
I like to think she found this shit in like Karth, and she's just like, some fucking day I'm going to be able to wear this and it's going to be popping. Like, it's going to be the best.
Like Missandei's has been lugging it around in a chest for 6 seasons.
Missandei's like, what the fuck? we have too many like armored, like, Dany, maybe cut this down. She's like, no.
I feel like John seeing her in that, he had to be like, oh my god.
Oh my gosh, she's like winter.
She's like ghost.
I don't know, I want her to come.
So, the dialogue, okay, so there's a tone issue with the whole show recently. Like the dialogue was good. Like it was pretty funny, which I generally like, but it definitely does not have the tone that it had like in season 1, 2, 3. Like even when Rob and Talisa were like in love, it was like so much more gritty, and you knew something bad was going to happen. These guys are just like dicking around kind of.
Oh man, Rob and Talisa, I don't remember that being very good.
No, it wasn't good, but it was like romantic. You know, it should have been.
They were fucking.
Yeah.
They got to have sex. Where's all the sex? Where'd it go?
Well, I meant...
How to get there.
Yeah. Okay. But I guess just, I don't know. I thought, like, they look pretty clean. You know, they all look like no worse for wear.
Yeah, they were doing all right.
And I cannot believe that only one of them died. Deus Ex Machina. I'm going to edit that so I get it right the first time.
Okay, so the unedited version is Deus Ex Machina.
Well, I played the game, so... Or that was just Deus Ex.
Yeah, Deus Ex. Or you can watch the movie Ex Machina. I still have it.
Oh, that's a good movie.
It's on Amazon. I gotta watch it still.
It's pretty dank. One of the great theories for the episode was... that white that didn't die when the other White Walker died, who was with the other 10 whites or whatever, is actually fake a White Walker in disguise. And what evidence, you may ask? Well, he seems to like scream and know stuff a little bit. He seems to like react to his surroundings a little more than
we kind of changed the rules of cognition within White Walker, or whites a little bit too.
Yeah, they react a little more. We got the
I think we need to talk a little bit more about the staging of that Deus Ex Machina when Dany comes though, because that pawn shit. Oh my god, So, let me tell you a little bit of story about ponds, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
We live in, the southern tier of the great state of New York. We get decent winters, or at least we used to. And the pond, we love playing hockey on the ponds when they freeze. It needs to be below 32 degrees for at least about 72 hours in order to get some, skatable ponds. And it has been years since the beginning of Game of Thrones, and it was freezing weather back then. So this water has been frozen for years.
Frozen completely through.
Frozen completely for years.
Yeah.
And the Mormonts have been playing hockey up there for ages.
The only way it melts is if it gets warmer.
The dragons maybe could have melted that with their super magically hot fire at some point.
Yeah, but it was already falling through. I thought it was kind of cool how it seemed to get mushier with the dragon. It definitely was not. It was not solid water.
Well, what is the White Walker doing? They bring the cold. They're fucking sitting there on the other side of the water the entire time, watching all this shit happen. They're like, well, maybe I guess we'll sit here.
Maybe in the beginning of the season, that was why it was frozen near Eastwatch, and then before this episode, because they changed it last episode, so it's no longer frozen in the intro. Maybe they were like, "Are we gonna have it frozen?" No, people figured out that
I couldn't care.
The Night King was just gonna walk around the wall. People figured it out. Shit. So let's take away that power and make everything not frozen.
When they were not moving on them, I thought it was
at Hardhome he was freezing it and he was walking out.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah, that happened. But fucking when the whites weren't coming after them, I thought that was because the White Walker was like, we're just going to sit here and scare them. Yeah. It's no, it was actually apparently because they didn't know how ice works. Why didn't the White Walkers tell them, you can go now? It's frozen.
Yeah.
It took the Hound. That's a scene that belongs in a zombie movie where we're trying to figure out the rules of zombiedom. That doesn't come in season 7 of your ice zombies are causing apocalypse show.
I really think that I can argue that it wasn't just shitty writing to get our characters in this situation so that Dany had to come, but it was actually the Night King trying to lure Dany out so he could get the dragon. He traded one of his douchey whites for a dragon. Yeah. And he seemed to just be standing there.
I think that those are the last 3 whites, though. There was the one that died this episode. For now, we're down to 2. The guy that stands next to the Night King and the Night King. And by the way, they changed it from Night's King to Night King, which pisses me off.
No, it was... I don't think they ever called it Night's King in the show. Maybe in the beginning, when Old Nan was talking about it in the show.
Yeah, so count it. They're assholes. They flip-flop. Okay. They ruined my life. They ruined my childhood.
They didn't want to... because George R. R. Martin said, we'll never see the Night's King in the book as a person. We'll never see that.
I mean, we already have brand chapters, so I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Well, he means that there's no, great other...
There is. Literally. His name is Brandon.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. We're not getting one devil guy with devil horns coming. It's going to be far more.
Is that Donald Trump talking about Game of Thrones? No. Get a devil guy. He's made of ice. He's fantastic. I love him.
I wish I did a better Donald voice. No, I guess I don't.
Yeah, I don't really. Mine's not very good.
So let's talk about how this episode didn't make you feel anything.
Well, I almost felt something when I thought Tormund was going to die. And then they're like, nope, we have no balls. Literally nobody but fucking Thoros, who nobody's cared about for years, died. And it's like, fuck you, 6 episodes, no deaths. What?
Yeah.
No deaths except for characters that are so obviously dying.
Our death pool is pretty way up in the air.
Yeah, our death pool really got ruined by the lack of conviction this year. Yeah. We were all expecting oh man, shit's gonna go down.
I expect if I were them, they're gonna have to kill off at least half of the characters by the end, right?
No, they just kill off Bronn and that's it. Everybody else lives.
Well, they better start getting on it this season because they're not going to want to have to kill off half. They still have 100. They still have 100 characters. literally in the show who people
it
care
just means
about.
that instead of the last season being focused and maybe good, it's like we're just gonna get more unfocused random bullshit capitalized by a bunch of deaths, like some of which will be really touching and emotional but will not be earned in any way.
There's no doing it right as far as D&D go, because like we bitched about Barristan mercilessly, but that was because that didn't happen in the books and they just like made it up, and he did get ambushed by a lot of dudes.
Yeah, well, that was like, not only are the Unsullied completely worthless, they're just like stormtroopers as far as like film value is concerned. Like they're no longer talented or like a force to be reckoned with. And then it's like Barristan is just randomly walking through the city and walking through an occupied city with no armor, and it's just like, yeah, so you wanted this to happen, so you made it happen. You didn't think about it, right?
Yeah.
You didn't try to earn it.
And it was like, just before that, he told a great story about Rhaegar singing.
Yeah, everybody's like, needs to talk about Rhaegar before we like pay attention to what's happening in the show. It's like, oh, Sam, you're having a
Rhaegar
moment.
used to
Guess
sing,
what?
we went down and then we got drunk. Save a song for me, Sir Barristan. That's like the last thing she says for him, something like that.
Like, what movie are they in? What is happening? That's the Disney movie about Daenerys.
How to something dragon.
Hey, How to Train Your Dragon is for real. Like,
I think,
so,
I don't know. I think I might have watched it. I'm not sure though.
Well, one, let me just do a little plug for Pete's Dragon, which I have also not seen, but the director of Pete's Dragon made a ghost story, and that movie's awesome.
What's a ghost
A
story?
Ghost Story is this indie that they made for like $100,000. His name's David Lowery. He made it for $100,000 with Rooney Mara and Casey Affleck, and it's like literally Casey Affleck's character dies and then is underneath a sheet the entire movie. So it's like the cheapest you can make a movie, and
Is
it's
it
like beautiful.
funny or good? Or is it like actually?
No. It's serious. It's about like the existential infinity of time and just like how we try to connect ourselves to the, tether ourselves to the earth in some way. And it's gorgeous. If you ever have it's only an hour and a half long, but it's a small scale movie.
I'll watch it.
It's amazing.
I was gonna say text me the name of the movie, but I'll get it when I edit this.
Yeah, you can edit this out and then.
No, I'll probably leave it.
But yeah, How to Train Your Dragon. I watched that with that was when Grandma was still around, and it was right after I had broken up with my ex-girlfriend. It was the next day, and Pete's Dragon was on, and I was watching it, and there were like some beautiful scenes that was flying around, and I was just like crying like freely. Like I wasn't like actively sad. I was just like really emotional, and this movie just was like, well, I guess you're gonna cry for an hour now. Oh, How to Train Your Dragon happens. So I've had emotions about How to Train Your Dragon.
All right.
Yeah.
Wait, that was How to Train Your Dragon?
Yeah, that was How to Train Your Dragon. I haven't seen Pete's Dragon yet, but I'm really sad that I didn't because it was in theaters for a while. And I had the chance, but we didn't see it. It was too bad.
So the Night King seems to have this elaborate plan to draw Viserion there.
Oh, which dragon died?
It was Viserion.
Okay, I had no idea. That's another part of
you couldn't tell. There was a consensus afterwards.
Of course, as these things are generally.
Yeah, well, it wasn't Drogon because they were riding Drogon, and then people figured it out. Plus, it kind of makes sense because Viserys died first, and Jon needs to ride Rhaegal.
Only a dragon rider may ride a dragon. It's like now dragons are just like dragons are like Appa from.
It's like it's like you like Urit.
How long until there's fucking dragon Uber in Westeros?
Well, it's a lot. It should be faster than a sparrow, but we don't know.
Everything can move at the speed of the story in Westeros.
That's true. I can't believe the director said that. It's we know the timeline's a little blurry.
How long were they in the middle of that lake? It's supposed to take months to get across the entire north. What is happening?
And they were bitching about like being cold, and he doesn't even light up. He has a flaming sword, and he doesn't even light it up until like way later
Yeah, they should have talked a little bit more about like why they like save, like, you know, it takes strength, it takes magic and blood or whatever, something, you know.
Not just like
lightsaber. Okay, now they're a lightsaber, exactly.
I assume that he actually was rubbing like fuel on it, because I think in the books he uses wildfire in the books. He uses blood magic in the show.
Thoris uses wildfire before in the books, and then Barrick in book 3 when he fights the Hound uses blood magic. So that's like the turning point when it turned from a trick to real.
Okay. So
I think at this point that they're both just using blood magic.
Yeah, that's okay. Now, did they burn Thoros?
Yeah.
They burn him.
We need to burn him.
And the other guys. Okay, so here's another issue I had with the red coats, with red shirts, red coats, whatever. Why didn't we get to know them a little? Like, if they're gonna have these characters die, because
why not just don't randomly insert characters when they're not important?
Well, they obviously weren't ready to let go of all these most greatly loved characters. But okay, so
grow some balls.
All right, so these 5 guys, I'm gonna say they probably all died, but they could have like had a little like dialogue with them, got to know them, because we don't even know. I'm assuming they were wildlings, because they were dressed like it. But I mean, it would have been cool if some of the watch went too, you know. But like take Hardhome for instance. We met Kersey, that character Carsey, like in the first scene of that episode, and we're like, oh, who's this? This is gonna be like a new main character. We like her. She's a good mom. She's strong. Like
she's a mom. Like every
she's like a strong, good mom, like a single mom who's like takes care of her kids.
Yeah, she's an SFC,
very hot Nordic chick. And Tormund like supports her and their family friends or whatever, and we're like, yeah, you know. And then she gets killed, and it's emotional at the end when you see her little kids first get like killed, and then she's like sees them, and then that affects her, and then she gets killed, and like you just met her literally that episode, but it was like a really good episode, and it made you become attached to that person. They could have done something like that. They had 71 minutes.
I am actually going to rule in favor of what they did, because I think that's bullshit, and I did not enjoy like Carsey. Like, I would like it if she was a character now. It's like, okay, we can use more awesome badass wildling girls. Like, Ygritte was the only one. But then like having her exist just to die is really stupid. Just have conviction, kill some old characters, bring in new characters. Like,
I was pissed.
Have the lens of the show, like, except that it's only so big. You can't.
And, I was pissed too. I would have wanted to keep her as well. Just to clarify that.
But I just don't think that just goes back to them just moving stuff around to like create the illusion of a show happening, of like, you get this bit of action here, this bit of action there. Hardhome was such a like, they were so not ready to deal with this story. Like, the story ramifications of like, we have had battle with like the others. Everybody is now only worried about the others. Like, that happened 2 seasons later. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And, like, just have these battles happen and have named characters die. Have people we care about.
And we've been waiting for Dany to go to war against the Night King and like have an actual battle instead of a stupid rescue mission.
And it's like, if she could just do this, why didn't they do this? Like, why Dany can do whatever she wants and Cersei can't do shit is basically what we know. Like, they try to make up reasons. Like, that's the whole problem with the entire war plot of this entire season is nothing has to make any sense. Nothing has to play by the rules of the setting. So everything is just up in the air. The time can flow freely and nothing happens when stuff that we're seeing is happening. The Starks are all put on a bus together, a really dumb ass bus. Yeah, and like Dany just gets losses heaped on her to start just because she has dragons. We need to make it seem fair or something. Like, what is the point? What is the point of any of this bullshit that is happening? Why can't we get, like, it's like you're putting off when we're going to get to the stuff that is good. It's like, it's just never going to happen. The show's just going to end and it's going to be like, well, that was underwhelming.
Well, now he has a dragon, which he needed. Okay, now it's a little more fair.
Yeah.
Will he breathe fire or will he breathe ice?
Ice, I'm guessing.
I hope ice. Because the fire looks really good.
I did like that scene where the dragon was getting dragged out of the water.
Yeah, it looked cool.
That's cool.
I didn't think of the big chains thing at the time. Like, everyone's like, where the fuck did these big chains come from? Which is kind of true. These are like gigantic chains. And like, why? First, he would not have...
That's what people are worried about.
Well, yeah. And well, if
No, I'm
if
worried
the
about
Night
it too.
King was at Hardhome, he could have brought them from boats. That's easy. But this must have been an elaborate plan on his. He wanted these dragons.
Actually, a year and a half passed between that scene when they went and got the chains and then they brought them back. It was a long time.
And those guys are fucking slow, and you can't trust them to do anything if you're not with them. So the Night King has to go the whole way.
You need one other per every 10 wildlings, except for the rest of the army who just hang with the Night King and one other. What? Yeah. But, I want to talk a little bit more about just the editing and conviction of that you need to have when you want to put something on screen. So with the water breaking, I think you got some really cool stuff with, people falling through and when John was going down, I think everybody's sick of seeing heavily armored people go down in water and then inexplicably pop out alive. And this one, there's not even an episode break. So it's there's literally no reason to be doing any of this bullshit.
Yeah.
And why didn't Benjen ride away with John? Why did Benjen's new weapon was so cool when he was riding in. Then when he was not on the horse, it's well, you died instantly. What was the point? What is the point?
Why did not all of them have flaming swords or flaming weapons? And why weren't the whites exploding like crazy like they did, like we've seen previously? That is the only way to stop them before.
But my point was that you get all these really neat shots of in the water, and it's it's definitely an homage to Lord of the Rings in the bog, in the beginning of the second film when Frodo falls in. But the thing is, those shots are long as fuck, and we get to see Frodo slowly falling through, and there's nothing immediately important happening above ground. Having this happen and cutting away from it, just immediately cutting away from anything that's staged to be beautiful like this just takes away from the magic of the moment. And
so you thought John should have
I mean, that's I don't think that's a good decision to make, and I already think the pond is stupid. I think it is pretty though, and I am in favor of them doing things that look nice, but it's even when they go to all that effort, and you can see that there's people who are really great at their craft, doing great things with the camera and staging these beautiful elaborate shots, and it's you think they put in all this work and money to get do several takes of going through water, and then they literally do a half-second cut of it twice. There needs to be conviction of this is a shot we want to do. This is something we want to show. Same thing with the dragons. When you have so much trouble with what is happening on screen and what is happening around them off screen during a battle, where it's the dragon is literally sitting there and the Night King is just waiting and very slowly preparing his next arrow. It's hey, jackass, you can get 3 dragons right now if you rush.
And he could have killed them all too.
Yeah, just having there be internal logic to what is happening so it feels real. It doesn't feel like characters that are just do this because you're told to do this. It's actually they're reacting to the moments around them. And the editing just undermines all of this. You never get these sweet moments. I think one of my favorite shots in recent memory of the show is the finale of last season. We get that still shot of Tommen's window and he walks away and then he makes a decision to kill himself and falls out. That's some awesome shit. When we get to see the Tarleys killed, that just still shot on them and then the fire comes down. It just comes down on them for seconds. That's fucking awesome. But when we get that, it's so few and far between. It's more in the favor of cut. And when the fighting, it's they cut on the impacts to other impacts. I noticed that they started doing this. Well, when I started noticing it was, during the Greyjoy fight scene where they were trying to make Theon start a cut and Asha finish it. They were trying to do something cool. They were trying. It looked like shit because you couldn't see anything. But they were doing more of that during to show these brothers fighting together. And and there was a lot of them just taking up frame and hitting off-screen enemies. It's just all the tricks that you can most cheaply make it appear that there is action happening. And I just get so sick of seeing it, especially when they're supposed to be game-breaking shit, 3 dragons happening.
Yeah.
And why? What's the point of having the 3 dragons fighting together the only time ever in the entire show, and you don't see all 3 of them on screen at the same time doing the same thing? One strafing run. All I need. Just once. Let me see it once. Why didn't she have them with her if this is a thing? I thought it was oh, I can't bring these other dragons. They don't have riders to the first fight. Yeah. Why didn't she have the other dragons with her in the fight against Jaime?
Yeah.
They just undo everything that's accidentally good.
Yeah.
The more rope they have, the more. All right, I just need to stop.
It's cool.
Do you have anything else you need to say about the episode?
No, not really. I'm going to give this one a 5.9, which is the lowest I've given all season.
I like your Game Informer review scores. How it's like to be the worst is to be like 5.5. 5.5 is the worst game.
Well,
that exists.
I still had fun watching it. I still watched it more than once. I hope that the episode is not leaked this week because
didn't they leak this episode?
They leaked it by
That's
accident.
So funny.
Yeah,
just like Ned used to do.
yeah.
It's like, can you imagine Ned doing a douchey slow clap? Like the way she told the story.
Somebody pointed out that is not what happened at all.
I think
somebody pointed out that the very first scene that shows all the Stark kids in the series is a scene where Bran is struggling and Arya comes and she's already really good.
Yeah, no, I think this was supposed to be before that. I think this was when she was first learning to shoot. That scene was just to show like Arya's already more badass than Bran. And will be forever. He's gonna get crippled. Deal with it, Bran, you bitch.
Yeah, I guess
become a robot, bitch.
I just really want there to be some logic to what she's doing and using her like master faceless man.
Dude, she's a woman. They can't write women. Oh, it was so nice to see fucking Emilia Clarke acting like she's happy, like she was sad, and then she was like doing some loving looks, her not doing the mantle of Dany the mean queen, like thank fuck, she's so radiant, and like when it gets to shine through, like how do you manage to fuck up such natural talent of Emilia Clarke? Like she was in that horrible Terminator movie and she was radiant in that. Like let her be fun. Let her be a young girl who knows little in the ways of war. I mean, obviously that ship has sailed now, but just let her do more human stuff.
Well, I think that she will get to. I think we're heading that way. I think we're cruising
we
for.
We talk about her and Tyrion.
Cruising for the incest.
Incest, yeah.
The Tyrion scene.
Yeah, where Tyrion's like, I'm a baby, and she's like, I burn those bitches because that's what you do. You burn bitches.
Yeah. He's like, well, that's not how my dad said we should do it.
And that's not even what he's like. Ooh. All the shit about pontificating about breaking the wheel. It's like, this is like a thing that Dany says once in the heat of the moment, and then it becomes like the philosophy on which the show is built. It's like, you know what's going to break the wheel? Killing the others. So it's like, do what you need to do right now. Get rid of Cersei and fucking solve the problems for everyone, so then you can go about building a better society. Like, you can't just say, oh, we need to break the wheel, we need to do it better. It's like, he even acknowledges, like, she's going to be trying to kill us. It's like, so we need to be setting traps to try to kill her too. And he's like, no. It's like, so what are we doing to try to stop her from killing us? And it's like, you don't seem to understand that the zero-sum game of she's trying to kill us. She's trying to kill us all. She will trick us. She will do anything. She will burn people in the set. She will blow up the set. What is Tyrion talking about?
What are they going to do? Like, when they are face to face with her, is Dany and Cersei gonna have a nice chat? Who's gonna talk? Like, are they all gonna be in a circle?
Seems that way.
I mean,
is that going to be like what happens next episode? I'm assuming that
the big meeting. The Hound and his brother are both gonna be there. We know that.
Oh, I also need to say how much they fucked up the Hound. It's like the Hound is just afraid of fire. Like, there's nothing to do. Like, his inability to help is not like, it doesn't tell us anything about his character. And he has had no shift in character since he became like repentant and like the Gravedigger. Like, he literally acts like season 4 Hound, except for
he's a little more happy-go-lucky.
He's like, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Fuck?
Exactly. I'm like as badass and witty as before, but I'm a good guy.
And it's like, why were him and he was like said goodbye to one of the other guys at the end. It's like, wait, are they splitting up? What is happening? Like, what? We never talked about this.
I think Tormund stayed and the rest of them went.
They went back to Dany.
They went back with Dany, and then they're all going to King's Landing. Pretty much everyone.
Yeah, Dany's going to be like, oh, Clegane, like, I guess I'm taking you into my service now because what the fuck? I'm taking everybody now.
Yeah.
Gendry, who are you? What? Whatever.
I guess if you're willing to bend the knee so that we can get rid of this terrible system.
Also, what is the point of Gendry and his hammer? It's like, we got to bring this kid his hammer. It's like, just go run away, kid. We'll keep your hammer.
He can make a new hammer.
Why is he in the show, I mean?
Oh,
his Baratheon blood isn't important.
Because Arya needs a romantic plot.
Arya should be fucking her sister. That'd be a better fucking plot.
That'd be good.
No, I'm not serious.
I
Dan
don't
David.
think
I
they're
know
gonna
Dan and
do it.
David listen to this podcast, and that's how they get all their ideas.
Yeah,
They wouldn't be able. They would turn it off after 2 minutes. They'd be like, "This kid is so mean to us. What he doesn't know anything about."
yeah, he doesn't know.
storytelling."
He doesn't know me at all.
Exactly. He doesn't know George R. R. Martin.
So I was looking online at the listing of the director and writer, but it said written by George R. R. Martin, and I knew it was not because he hasn't written one since season 4, which was the Purple Wedding. But all these people in the comments were like, "Oh my God, George wrote this finally!" Wait, and we're like, "No, he doesn't write them now. You know he doesn't write them now." Obviously, he would fucking go crazy.
I saw an article that was like, George R. R. Martin's not even watching the show anymore.
I hope not. Can you imagine how you would feel if you were him?
I mean, I'd feel rich as fuck.
That's true. Well, I feel like
I'm sure it still hurts.
I feel like he almost got conned.
Like for him to have like be taking so long to write the story, so all the times lay out and like just how the world would all exist. It's like, remember when weather used to be a thing where it's like there'd be a storm and it would hit some characters and then other characters and it would like all exist in the same universe? Fuck you. All right, I need to do some breathing now. We kept it under an hour. That's pretty good.
Yep.
I like it.
So the episode name next week is
something dumb.
Hold on.
Throne of Games.
So easy. People are
building the wheel.
Spoiling.
Breaking the wheel. Wheeled over. Popping a wheelie. Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 7. Wheels of Fury. Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 7. Jon Snow and Dany bang in this one. How are you still looking it up? Like, how can it take this long?
It's called The Dragon and the Wolf.
Ooh, so that's literally Dany and Jon go fuck the episode.
Okay. Well,
that's one of the sources of joy in this season is watching those two. Serena, after she saw that, she was like, I had to look up if Kit Harington and Leslie Rose were still together because like the sexual tension between Amelia Clarke and Kit Harington was like in that first scene when they're looking at each other like.
And this is 79 minutes and 43 seconds is the running time. Which I kind of don't like because I have to get up early.
I'd rather go see an indie movie that's 90 minutes long. That tells a story in 90 whole minutes. Not one.
Yeah, but then it takes you an hour to get to Ithaca.
Yeah, worth it.
Okay, so I said,
5.9.
Yeah, I said 5.9, and you said you always.
I always say something glib about rating systems. I rate this episode broken setting out of a setting. That was clever.
Alright, that was good. Okay.
I rate this episode choking noises.
Choking noises again.
Oh yeah, no. Before it was burping. No,
you did screaming before.
Oh, okay.
You did screaming one time. Okay. Bye, Jake.
Bye, Jake. Love you.